At 85, Grace Slick finally opens up about Jim Morrison, and what she reveals will leave you speechless. It's not just about a wild night, shattered strawberries, or rock and roll chaos. It's a raw, emotional truth from a legend who lived through the madness and made it out alive. This isn't gossip, it's living history told with fire, regret, and fierce honesty. Imagine being 85 years old and still rocking the world with stories no one saw coming. Grace Slick, the powerhouse voice behind Jefferson Airplane, has just pulled back the curtain on her wildest memory with another rock legend, Jim Morrison of The Doors. But this isn't some scandalous exposé. It's a raw, bittersweet tale of passion, chaos, and what it really meant to live during the most electric decade in music history. Grace Slick was never the quiet type. With her electric vocals on White Rabbit and Somebody to Love, she defined the sound of the psychedelic 60s. But behind the music, she was also living a whirlwind life that matched the intensity of every song. And it was during a 1968 European tour that her path crossed with Jim Morrison, the seductive, volatile frontman of The Doors. What happened that night in an Amsterdam hotel room has long been whispered about. But now, at 85, Grace is speaking plainly. She describes a night charged with passion, laughter, and chaos. Strawberries smashed everywhere, on the bed, the walls, the floor. It was pure, messy, unscripted rock and roll. She calls Jim gorgeous and spectacular, but her voice carries something more, an ache for what came after. Because after that night, Jim disappeared. No call, no note, nothing. Just vanished back into his world of wild poetry and self-destruction. Grace admits it stayed with her. She even laughs now, joking maybe she was terrible in bed. But the pain still lingers beneath the humor. Their story didn't end with that night. During the rest of the tour, Grace saw the other side of Morrison, stripping down in hotel hallways, howling like an animal, devouring anything fans handed him. He treated his body like an experiment, she says. When he died in Paris at just 27, she wasn't surprised. To her, Jim was a floating work of art, beautiful but doomed. And now, decades later, Grace isn't trying to scandalize anyone. She's sharing a piece of her truth, a memory, a warning. At 85, she's traded rock stages for paintbrushes, but her rebellious spirit hasn't dulled. She once plotted to spike Nixon's tea with LSD, and that same daring honesty flows through the story. This isn't just about Jim Morrison. It's about what it meant to live wild and free, to burn brightly, and sometimes crash hard. While Jim remains frozen in time, a legend who never made it past 27, Grace is still here, still telling the truth, still standing, still inspiring. So, what's the lesson? That survival is its own form of rebellion. That looking back with clarity is just as powerful as living fast. Grace Slick's story isn't just history, it's a mirror held up to what we idolize and what it costs. If this caught you off guard, leave a comment below. Share it with a fellow music lover. Hit that like button, and subscribe for more stories from the legends who shaped the soundtrack of our lives. Because some voices never fade, and Grace's is still echoing loud.